Hello, fellow kindred. This is the Golden Nugget Gamer, and today I will give you 5 reasons why Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines is great. Vampire the Masquerade is one of my favorite games of all time. I think it's a game that has a very compelling storyline while also exploring the world of darkness. Published by White Wolf. In Bloodlines, you take control of a newly turned vampire as you try and navigate the world of darkness. The politics of vampires and how they have integrated themselves into modern society. On this journey, you are met with many kindred that want to either guide you or use you for their own ends. Vampire the Masquerade was first released in 2004. As this is a game that is 20 years old now, certain things like graphics will be very dated and the way models move might seem unnatural and very janky. The game itself also had a very bad launch, but a dedicated community has risen up to fix the bugs of the game, and some have even made more content for the game or restored some of the old content that was supposed to be in the game when it came out. One of the greatest of these individuals is Vesp, which is still to this day making patches for this game. I have put a disclaimer here though, being that I don't talk about things that I don't like about games, because I'm trying to show you the positive sides of the games that I play. If you're looking for input or criticism on a game, there are plenty of channels out there. What I want to do is dive deeper into why I like the games that I like and try and explain it in terms of philosophy and deeper meaning. I think it's important to think about why you like a game so you can identify the things that appeal to you. If I don't show you reasons on newer games I play, just means that I haven't seen the positive sides yet. I also don't play newer games much since I like to get a complete experience on the games, which means most of the time I will have to wait for years until all expansions and DLC has come out for a set game. This also gives developers a chance to better their game for their audience. I believe in giving people a chance to show you what their best looks like. The moment when you see their ideas rise above everything and create something beautiful for the gaming market. The first reason Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines is great is the dialogue and the voice acting. I would say Vampire the Masquerade has some of the best voice acting in any game made to date in the world. Yes, I mean it, it's the best in the world to date. With a silent protagonist, the developers were freed up from constraining themselves and could make a varied dialogue options for each vampire clan. If you are playing Malkavian, you'll have some of the most wacky dialogue that sometimes confuses the person you speak to and will also sometimes make them fearful of you. Everyone around you gives you advice and tells you stories about the world and how you're supposed to navigate it. When you are embraced, which is the vampire word for being turned, you don't know anything about the vampire world because it's supposed to be that way. Until recently, you were a regular human, and you can tell by exploring the world and talking to other vampires that this is a world that exists only in the night of LA. You are no longer part of the human experience, although you are still expected to uphold the masquerade, which is a term used for White Wolf's world of darkness. That means you shouldn't use your new abilities out in the open, and you should always be fearful of showing your abilities in front of humans because it might attract unwanted attention to the vampire society. This is all explained by elder vampires that have their own motives in the world, and they may use you for their own ends. Some humans, however, are aware of vampires because they are either ghouls that serve their master in exchange for vampire blood, or they serve a vampire clan with the hopes of being turned into a vampire. Nothing comes easy in Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, as you will have to use specific sequence of sentences to achieve a good result in a conversation. Oftentimes this corresponds with the affinity of the character you are speaking with. One of the characters you meet in the game is called Beckett, and he is, by all accounts, one of the more famous characters in Vampire the Masquerade's lore. He is obsessed with finding out lore about vampires, and so conversations with him often revolve around understanding the supernatural and how vampires came to be. If you're playing someone who doesn't care about this, you will not get much out of Beckett. But if you delve into vampire lore with him, not only will you get to know the vampire lore, but you will also get rewarded by it. Oftentimes, you have to decide who to trust and who to work with in this game, which can mean your downfall later in the game, which is just amazing. The language used in Vampire the Masquerade revolves around the culture of the 90s and early 2000s. If you're really looking for a unique experience, play Malkavian's Clan, where you can start out with a character that speaks in a crazy manner all game, and all vampires around you feel apprehensive because of your Malkavian ancestry. Sometimes voices will whisper to you about the true nature of the person you're speaking to. It might reveal something about them that they don't wish to be known, or you might catch them saying a lie. However, Malkavians are also hard to decipher yourself. You can often get lost in the language of the sentences and not quite know if you're getting a good result at the end. In Vampire the Masquerade, there are different words for things you already know. When you're turned, they talk about how you were embraced instead of turned. They also call you kindred now, which is their word for vampire, while they call humans in the world for kind. Many times you're exposed to new words, and it's up to the player to learn what the meaning of the words and how it serves the player well in adapting to the world of darkness. The lore is special in the way that it pulls you into a new understanding of the world based on how vampires see it. Vampires often look down on humans because they're not part of the world they live in. In a way, society as vampire changes, but still much remain the same. Vampire the Masquerade is about vampires and interacting and changing society. It's about understanding the differences between the two worlds, and that's the only way to survive, is to conform into this new world. This is also what they call upholding the masquerade. White Wolf has published and created a rich lore basis for the game, and I think it shows that it was respected from the development side of this game. You always move around at night, which means you never get to see the world in daylight, but you can imagine a world in daylight as you walk past restaurants and buildings that are closed or open. You get to experience a different way of being a vampire as you move through society and work your way through the missions that other vampires give you. The different words from the world of darkness or Vampire the Masquerade is actually one of the great hallmarks of a great game. If you notice that there are different words for different things that have meaning in the game, so it is in other great games, like for instance Cyberpunk. By creating this unique language in your material, you also pull people away in a unique way towards your universe, which is what Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines does in an exceptional way. The third reason that Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines is great is the vampire clans themselves. In Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, you pick your clan in the beginning of the game, and this has a giant impact on your game and how the world will interact with you. Clans offer special abilities each and have their own rules on how to behave in the world. Take for instance Malkavian, which is a vampire clan known for its madness, but also its psychic ability. You can even grow so powerful that you can inflict madness on others, making them go insane and attack others. In the game, you speak in a peculiar manner which leads the world around you to misunderstand you and often wonder if you are as crazy as you seem. And then we have the Brujah clan, the rebel clan, which is a clan of anarchist vampires that don't like being told what to do. They often attract elements of outcasts in society and therefore often comes into conflict with other clans. Oftentimes they are part of the group called the Anarchs. The Ventru clan, however, is the direct opposite of the Brujah clan, which is the self-styled leaders of society, often sitting on top of human society. They have an aristocratic air and expect people to obey them when they give commands. They are often scheming against other vampires and even against those of their own clan. Nosferatu comes in the form of a hideous-looking vampire that often lead them to dislike other vampires and even their own appearance. They hide in the shadows because their affliction cannot be shown in open areas around people. They often live in sewers and dark places, but also excel greatly at staying quiet and can even turn invisible. There will be many interactions in the game where they will speak about your grotesque appearance if you should so choose to play Nosferatu. Gangrel are a clan of vampires that have the most animalistic nature, often living in the wilds away from people. Their powers consist of turning into beasts and summoning beasts for their aid. They are seen as the outcast of vampire society and are often wanderers. Toreador are the pretty vampires that most excel at staying close to humanity. They are actors and their appearance are often mesmerizing to people, and they will attract a lot of attention. The Tremere clan is also very unique in that their founders, or their antediluvians, didn't become vampires by being embraced, but rather they did some deals with a infernal entity to gain their vampire powers. They are often very secretive about their motives and will work with other clans if they need something. They use blood magic and can literally make people explode in a shower of blood. Beside the game Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, there's also different clans outside, as the Simichi that you meet in the game or the Lamastu. You can install mods to the game and try these clans out also, but they are not very well tested and it often leads to buggy interactions. As you can see, Vampire the Masquerade, there are plenty of choices for role-playing based on your preference in story or playstyle. This is why the game is also great in my opinion. The fourth reason Vampire the Masquerade The Bloodlines is great is I really like the different vampire powers that there are in the game, as you can choose between different clans and they all have unique powers that corresponds with their clan and the way you're supposed to play them. The first time I played a Malkavian and walked into a room with a lot of people and used the max rank Dementia Bedlam, Watching the entire room go completely insane was an experience I will never forget. The last sequence of fights walking around with rank 5 celerity and a rifle while moving fast enough to dodge hundreds of bullets and shooting them all back. Or perhaps have such a majestic presence about you that humans and vampire alike do not want to attack you or are severely limited in their power if they choose to do so. You can also choose to become a more bestial vampire that grows giant claws that can shred everything in its path, both human and vampire, as a gangrel, or use the nefarious blood magic of the Tremere to boil the blood within your enemies or send your own blood as missiles against them. The game offers a wide variety of clans that all have different powers and gives you a different experience in and out of combat. While some clans have the same abilities, such as presence or celerity or obfuscate, which is invisibility, each clan have a unique combination of these abilities or disciplines, as they call them. The fifth reason I really like Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines is the atmosphere in the game. The World of Darkness offers a unique view on vampires and how they live. The atmosphere in the game is dark and gritty. The same can be said of the realism in the game that seeks to emulate early 2000s culture. The dark yet gritty style really speaks to me. The dark atmosphere in the game is juxtaposed by sometimes funny encounters with humans or other vampires that might have comical lines to give you. If you like the content so far, please like and subscribe. And as always, thank you for watching and have a nice day.